Am I wrong, or do you agree that we've come to a time in the unique history of the United States where a dominant view sees Christianity, or at least the most active components of Christianity, as somehow aligned with the Republican Party or with conservative impulses, conservative politics? Do you see it that way? And how do you account for that?
That's a great question, Rick. I think, yes, I do see it that way. I think that is the majority perspective these days. This is what people also from outside the US are seeing. You know, US Christianity is very much part of the dominant conservative tendencies in the United States. Now, if you look at the history, I guess it's not surprising because for 2,000 years, Christianity has been collaborating with empires of all kinds and sorts, right? Go back to the Roman Empire, perhaps. That's where it all started. That's Christianity's birthplace, you know, in the Roman Empire of its time, and then all the way into the present. Now, in the US, though, I think there is something that a lot of people don't know, and that's, of course, the interesting thing, namely how conservative Christianity has shaped up here in the United States in about 100 years in the past. Because the conservative Christianity that you see today, and I think this is important for your listeners and anybody who really is interested in Christianity, the conservative Christianity you see today does not go back to the founding fathers. So it's not like Christianity by default already being conservative or shaped by certain movements. There's actually a history that goes back to the aftermath of the Great Depression in the 1930s. At that time, the National Association of Manufacturers saw the need to restore its image and its influence, not only because of the Depression, but also because of FDR's New Deal and the social gospel that was quite active at the time. And so they enlisted, with the help of a lot of money and funding, to be sure, they enlisted a whole number of prominent preachers around the country, many of which are forgotten now, but some names people would still recognize, including someone like Billy Graham. And they enlisted them in order to turn Christianity more conservative, not only more conservative, but also more compliant to the conservative capitalist ideals at the country, and of course of the dominant minority in the country. And since then, and this is the important history I want people to know, since about 100 years now, maybe 80, 90 years, a lot of money has been spent on shaping conservative Christianity in the image of capitalism, making it ever more conservative. And that's the history that we're oftentimes not aware. You know, that also goes via think tanks and so on. There are some books on the topic. Kevin Kruse has a book, One Nation Under God, that describes this history of big money shaping Christianity. A more recent book by Tony Keddy is actually titled Republican Jesus, showing how these tendencies have shaped Christianity. So it's not all Christianity's fault necessarily, but how it has been used. And of course, that's what we're trying to address with our own work, Institute of Christian Socialism, and the Wendling Cook program in Religion and Justice at Vanderbilt that I direct. We want not only tell that history, but show there are alternatives, and Christianity doesn't have to be that.